Hey guys, MDB here with another episode of $1 Million Batch Maker, and today's surprise, we're going to be discussing another ubiquitous chemical in the cosmetics and funnily enough, the food space. It is called BHT. It stands for Butylated Hydroxytoluene. It is literally in a lot of products. And as usual, we're going to be covering all the aspects of, what is it, how is it made, is it natural, what is it used for, and of course, your favorite topic, is it safe? So stay tuned. We're going to answer all the questions you've ever had about this chemical and so much more. And don't forget, like and subscribe. It keeps the channel, entertaining, fun, and informative. Catch you in a bit. As I said before, the chemical we're going to talk about today is butylated hydroxytoluene, or BHT for short. In fact, I've never known it to be called anything except BHT in my career. So, basic info about it. It is generally a pale yellow to whitish substance that is insoluble in water. That's important, but soluble in both ethanol and fats, lipids. It has a chemical formula of C1524O, and it has a CAS number of 250-13-16-5. It is generally considered a yellowish white to pure white kind of substance, depending on how well it's been processed. And other characteristics, it's fairly odorless if you ask anybody. And I've never tasted it myself, but on some documentation that I found, it has been reported to be tasteless. But I implore you at home, don't try to taste that at home. Please don't. In fact, if you guys at home are interested, in the description box below, I've made links to various BHT suppliers that I've used throughout the years. They can be helpful, and pricing varies between suppliers. You look and make the choice if you really want this substance for your cosmetic or food product formulations. Have at it. Now, what does BHT actually do? Well, for the most part, it is an antioxidant. You might also see in some texts it's listed as a preservative or a product stabilizer, but for the most part, these are all catch-all phrases for a lot of the same functions. In my opinion, antioxidant sums up the bulk of what it does best. In the cosmetic field, the cosmetic arena, BHT is most often used mostly in the fat soluble phase of a formulation to prevent rancidity, to suppress or prevent color change of a formula. And it performs very well. It's been used for many years. But also importantly, it can also help boost the function of, say, other preservatives that you're using in a formula. I have a video here about phenoxyethanol. This is one of the preservatives that BHT is often used with in order to help boost phenoxyethanol's overall preservative function. And while I'm on the topic, BHT is often used with disodium EDTA, something I may not have made a video of. I'm not sure. I'll probably throw it up here as a link if I did. But quite often BHT is used with another similar chemical called BHA, which stands for butylated hydroxyanisole. We'll get back to BHA once we talk about the health effects of both of these chemicals later on in the video. But back to use cases. When we talk about BHT's use in foods, BHT is often used in fatty foods, and that makes sense. As we mentioned in the beginning, BHT is fat soluble. It helps prevent, say, rancidity in meat products, especially, or fatty fish products. It's very excellent at doing that particular function. But some of the most fascinating use cases for BHT are in the medical field, where it is used either heavily or lightly as a treatment for herpes, AIDS, and other viral conditions because it has it has the trait of being able to damage the lipid cell wall of certain viruses, which I think we can all agree is a plus. And hey, I know what you're all at home thinking right now. You're thinking, hey, MDB, BHT sounds too good to be true. It must be synthetic. It must be made in a lab somewhere, some man-made concoction that we should all be worried about, right? Well, that's only half true. BHT actually does occur naturally in a bunch of species of different fungi and mold. In fact, I believe the first lab discovery of BHT occurred when analyzing a mold called Talaromyces islandicus. I tried my best not to butcher that name, but there you go. It is also present in certain tree species like the Japanese white birch. Now, you and I are smart human beings, and we know there aren't enough Japanese white birches in the world to produce the sheer volume of BHT that is currently used in industries globally. So, of course, the vast majority of BHT on the planet is synthetically made. BHT is made with a reaction of 4-methoxyphenol with isobutylene and everything catalyzed with sulfuric acid. And this was a method patented back in 1947, which should give you an indication of how long synthetic BHT has been around and how long it's been used for. And just to give you an idea of how good BHT is at preserving certain aspects of chemicals, we're going to go to the lab and show how it preserves the color of blue chamomile oil, something that is notoriously difficult to maintain the color of.
Hey guys, we're just here in the lab and we have here blue chamomile oil. And just to show you how its color looks on the white background, we're going to spread it out. So here we can see that the color is rather deep blue. This blue is from an antioxidant called azulene. To conduct our experiment, we're going to add BHT to one glass beaker, and we're going to leave the other beaker as is. The BHT has to melt inside the oil, so we're putting everything on a burner as BHT melts at about 70 degrees Celsius or so. After 15-20 minutes or so, our preparation is ready, and now we're ready to compare colors. Just remember that the left beaker is the one we added BHT to, and the right one is the one we added nothing to. As you can see, the BHT beaker, when spread out, is still pretty blue in color. It may have changed a little bit from the original color, but it is more or less the same as the original. The non-BHT beaker, however, let me spread it out here. As you can see, and I hope the camera actually captures the color change, the color has shifted towards green, not the deep rich blue that the original product has.
And last but not least, kiddos, is BHT safe? Now, I'm going to be honest, this is a tricky question. But first, I'd like to address some regulatory nonsense that I've seen on the internet or heard in different types of circles. First, the EU has banned BHT. This is not true. And trust me, this is very easy to verify. If you've watched this channel, you know that all you have to do is look at the COSING or COSING database. There are very few places, I believe, in the world where BHT is completely banned. I know back in 2015, due to social media pressure, Kellogg's basically banned the use of BHT in the preservation of their cereals. But this kind of action is not required by the FDA at this point, as studies have not conclusively proven that BHT is necessarily harmful to the human body, especially at the doses that the FDA dictates it should be in food in the first place. And with that said, let's dive into those studies for a moment. A number of studies were done in the 80s and early 90s regarding the health effects of BHA and BHT in particular. And the findings were interesting. These were all studies done on rats. Under controlled conditions, when rats were fed a diet of BHA, 1% and 2% BHA, it was found that BHA in particular promoted the development of cancer in the forestomach of rats. Now keep in mind, the forestomach is an organ that humans do not have, but it might be cause for some concern. Interestingly enough, when another study was done using BHT in similar amounts, it was found to have promoted the development of cancer in the stomach and liver of the same species of rat. So yikes, I guess things aren't looking so good for BHT right now. But on the flip side, there were follow-up studies which seemed also to contradict these results. And keep in mind that 1 to 2% may seem like a small amount, but the FDA regulations for the amount of BHT allowed to be in food is something like 0.02 or 0.002%. There are even some studies that suggest that BHT might actually be beneficial to you, and they may act as other antioxidants would when inside your body. Speaking of other antioxidants, that's an interesting question. Are there any substitutions for BHT? Well, yes, if you're using it in the cosmetics or the food space, vitamin E has often been found to be a good substitution. Rosemary's CO2 extract is a decent substitution when in the cosmetic space. The only downside with these substitutions is these substitutions tend to be more expensive and also involve more, and they also tend to have more price fluctuations in general. All right, guys, that was our summation of BHT. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, subscribe, comment below. I love answering questions. I love to hear from the viewers, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.